This is what you have so far. This step was optional, putting the seed beads on the end, but they do serve a purpose. They're not only for decoration, they're going to come in handy when we start putting on our decorative beads. But like I said, you don't have to put them on if you don't want to. Take our stretchy material and unwind a bit. This is about 3.5 yards, about 40 inches. Take one end of your stretch material. I know it's kind of hard to see this because it's clear. Take one of your combs. Put the stretch material through the first tooth. And this is sort of the part where the seed beads come in handy. You pull the stretch material through the first and the second bead, pull it tight, and then you tie a knot on the back side of the comb. Make a couple more knots, and with the stretch material you have to make sure you get the knots real tight, but don't pull it too tight because they will break, but make sure you do get them tight enough because sometimes it likes to unravel a bit. One more knot. Pull it tight. I'm gonna go ahead and dab on me some glue, let it dry a little bit. Okay, once it's dry, I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the little end piece sticking up. Cut that as close as possible without cutting the knot. For this comb, you want the teeth to face each other and you want the curve to go down. And this is where you decide what kind of pattern you want with the beads. And I want my combs to sit about that far apart. That's about 1/2 inch between the two combs. I'm going to do 5 on each side, and I'm just going to do a crisscross design. Go ahead and take your string and start stringing some beads. Want to, you can get creative and lay out a pattern for how you want the beads to go onto the string. I'm not going to make any kind of pattern with the beads, just going to randomly start slipping them on. Because these combs are kind of small, it's not going to make sense to make the string of beads real wide and far apart because that's going to be too much hair in the middle. It's going to put too much tension on the combs itself because these are made of wire and they can bend. So that's why I'm keeping them fairly close together and making the strings a little short. I mean, it's really up to you how far apart you want the combs to lay in the rested position. In the rested position, I want my combs to lay just like this. I'll be able to stretch it out, put it on the hair, and it'll always come back to this position right here. It's gonna cause the least amount of tension on the combs and keep the teeth from bending. And since I'm doing a crisscross pattern, going from the top of this comb to the bottom of this comb, that's how long I need the string of beads to be. So this is the length that I want my beads. Okay, so I'm gonna take my string, wrap it on the opposite end between the first and the second seed bead, wrap it around, and pull it through the first tooth. So that's why these seed beads come in handy. Okay, I'm going to wrap it around a couple more times, making sure to wrap it through the first and the second seed bead. So it's going to lay just like that. Now what I want to do is pull the string and count down 2 seed beads. That's how I want my pattern to go. Wrap the string around the teeth where those 2 seed beads are. Wrap that around a couple of times and then wrap it around the seed bead a couple of times. I'm gonna string on some more beads for my next row. Okay, so I have my next row. If you do all the rows on top of the previous row, you'll be able to unfold them like this. They'll end up like that. But if you make sure you weave through your work on every row, they'll always stay in the position you want them to be in. The way I want my beads to lay, since I went down 2 beads on this side, I want to come up 2 beads from that side. Count 1, 2, and wrap it between those 2 seed beads, and then wrap it around the teeth between those 2 seed beads. Wrap it around a couple of times between the teeth. And then count 2 more down, 1, 2, and wrap it between the teeth between those 2 seed beads. Wrap that around a couple of times. Then once you wrap it around the teeth between the seed beads, and you wrap it around the seed bead itself. So this is what we have so far. On to the next row of beads. So this is the third row, and remember I said don't just put them all on top of each other. Try to weave it through. So remember over here I counted 2 more beads down. So on this side I'm going to count 2 beads up. So wrap it between the 2 beads and then wrap it between the teeth of those 2 beads. Then after you wrap it around the teeth, then you wrap it around the bead itself. And then on to the next row of beads. Okay, so I'm on the 4th row. And remember to weave through the work between the rows. I went 2 down from that end, so I'm going to go 2 up from this end. Wrap the string between the bead and around the tooth of that bead. And once I wrap it around the tooth between the beads, I'm going to wrap it around the bead itself. You're getting the hang of it now, ain't you? On to the next row of beads. Weave through my work. I counted 2 down from this side, so I'm going to count 2 up from this side. Wrap it between the beads, wrap it around the tooth of that bead. Okay, after I wrap it around the tooth and wrap it around the bead itself. It's gonna be my last row. You know what? It took me all the way to the last row to realize you can weave through your work before you string the beads on. That makes it a little bit more easy. Then I'm gonna string the beads on. We are on the last row. Just wrap it around first and the second bead between the teeth. Then wrap it around the bead itself. Cut off a little tail. Make a knot. Pull the knot around the bead and pull. Do that a couple more times. Glue off the knot, clip off the tail, and there you have it. If you don't weave it between each row, they'll just all be straight like this. Putting it on, you hold it like this with your fingers between. You pull the combs towards your body, put on one side, and you put on the other side. Be creative, get some different color combs if you can find them. Get some different color beads. Make some different decorations with the way you place the rows of beads. Just be creative.